What up, everybody?
Welcome.
Welcome. We are so excited. We are here, Mezzanine Sunday Night Live. Man, super stoked you guys are joining us. We got an incredible show planned for you tonight. And I tell you what, Nancy, babe, tell them what they got coming their way.
We have so many fun things tonight. So first we have a musical guest that is not so much of a guest, but definitely a star tonight for us. The Mezzanine Band, being led by Shanna, is here, and they are going to perform a song that was written by them. So that's super cool.
I love it. I love it because, I mean, what an opportunity we got to hear from the young adults, songs they've wrote, songs God's inspired. They're going to come and sing it, and I know Shanna's going to do an amazing job. But who else do we have here tonight?
We also have a super special guest that is a personal friend of ours and has been for a real long time. His name is Jerad Merbitz, and we are going to be learning just all about all the things that God has just breathed into his life and all the influence that he's been able to share from God.
Absolutely. He started the company, the fashion company, Roar.
Yeah.
And little do people know, we also have the same barber. So
Yes.
very excited about that.
Yeah.
We have actually sent each other pictures while in the same barber's chair. Not at the same time, but it's going to be amazing. Then we have some worship planned, and we want to, encourage you guys, take whatever God's pressed on your heart and take these moments inside of worship and just continue that conversation with God. Write down whatever he's whispering on your heart in these moments, and then we're gonna move on. So you want to tell them what's next?
Yeah. Well, we are gonna see something very funny. So I hope you guys enjoy this next segment that we have. It's called WTFN.
See you guys.
Good morning, Mezzanine. Welcome to WTFN. I'm your host, Nikki Maffeo, here to tell you what's new, what's old, and what the heck is going on. First, we'd like to say not all heroes wear capes, just the ones that tell you Publix chicken tender subs are on sale this week. That's right, for $6.99 you can get a whole sub. It is love bug season here in Florida. Love bugs, or as I like to call them, lust bugs, have taken over our cars. My advice would be to hold off on that car wash for at least another month as we wait for these guys to get the heck out of here. And a friendly message to all love bugs out there, please stop fornicating on our cars. Thank you. From all of us to you. We recently witnessed history as we watched astronauts Bob and Doug head out into outer space. This was the first time in 9 years since we've launched from U.S. soil to our International Space Station. It was also our first commercial manned launch. Cheers to more discoveries, more learning, and more dreams. Thanks for shooting for the stars, NASA and SpaceX. Rumor has it a giant flamingo was seen in the ocean of Cocoa Beach this time last year. News reporters are wondering if it's going to make an appearance again this year, and they are correct. Mezzanine Beach Day is happening June 13th at 8th Street, Cocoa Beach. You guys can park at Club Zion and meet us out there. We've got a new and improved giant flamingo. We've got a mermaid and merman contest, and we also have a sandcastle contest. So come on out, wear sunscreen, don't burn, and hydrate so that you don't dehydrate. We'll see you at our Mezzanine Beach Day. Bob and Doug aren't the only things that launched this past week, so did our small groups. You can head over to www.mezzanine.church, click on groups, and check out all of the small groups that we have to offer. Mezzanine happens every single day of the week, so you're going to want to get plugged into it. Next, we would love for you guys to join our production team. These are the guys that make all of this happen. So if you are interested in doing that, you can go to mezzanine.church online as well. Sign up to serve on our production team. In other Mezzanine news, our dear friend Erin has lost all of her wisdom due to a tragic accident that happened yesterday. Let's check in on Erin to see how she's doing.
It's kind of cold in here.
Is it cold in here?
Yeah, my feet were real cold.
I'm sorry. Well, you are 24. You're a grown up.
I'm 24?
Yep.
Who knew? I'm bleeding.
You're bleeding.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
that's Dr. Lang's fault.
Why would you do that to me?
Well, because we paid him to do it.
You paid to make me bleed?
Not good, Erin. Not good. Let's head over to Nikki for our weather update. All right, so our weather is looking good here. looking pretty good over here. It's also raining everywhere here. I mean, let's be honest. It's Florida. It does whatever it wants. It's pretty impossible to predict the weather. Back to you, Nikki. Thanks, Nikki, for that weather update. Well, that's it for me on this week's WTFN. We'll see you back next week.
Wow, that was so good. Let me sneak on the other side of you. Good job, you guys. So we're really excited to hear the heartbeat behind this song. First of all, wasn't that amazing? Let's give them another round of applause. That was so good. So I want to hear, we want to hear the story behind the writing of that song.
Yeah, so the lyrics of that song is an internal dialogue of somebody feeling like they don't have any choice but to turn to God and say, like, I know I'm struggling. I know they say that you're good, but I don't feel it right now. And then you hear that small voice saying, like, just let go of control, and you'll be so free. Just let me have it. And then in the bridge it says the comfort of your name. It's that transition saying, like, well, no, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to give God everything I have and just turn it over to Him. And at the end, just letting go and feeling that true freedom of letting God have control over our circumstance and the peace that comes with that.
Yeah, that's so good. There's nothing to be ashamed of. We need God. He designed us that way, right?
Yes.
Yeah, something so powerful in saying, I trust you. I trust you. Saying that is so powerful. So you guys did a great job. Great job. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and cut to a commercial break real quick. You guys are going to see a promo for an ad that we have here. And then afterwards, we're going to have our interview. So stay tuned.
What's up, everybody? I want to tell you about something incredible that we're doing. We are doing the book of Ephesians as a virtual hybrid, however you want to look at it. Let's be real. If you want to learn about what it means to be a Christian, about demons, about the Holy Spirit, about a bunch of stuff that you hear people maybe talking about in church and you quite don't understand, Ephesians is incredible. Do you have a life of sin in your past? Well, how does God feel about that? Well, you're going to want to check out Ephesians. Ephesians is amazing. Are you wondering, hey, how do you fit into the church? What is your role? What does that look like? Ephesians answers that for you. You want to get into one of these Bible studies, get into one of these groups. We unpack it. It is incredible. What it will be is I go through chapter by chapter. I make videos just like this one, and I talk about key scriptures that stand out to me. So this way you can go into it with a pastoral overview, help guiding you through the chapter, but also with your friends so you can have community and you can talk about it, how it pertains and how it relates to you. It is an amazing way to grow with Jesus. There's so many things I can tell you about it. I do an intro to let you know a little bit of the back history going into the book of Ephesians. It's a great resource for you. I want to recommend you jump in. So how do you do it? You might say, Pastor, how do I do it? Go to our website. We'll have an outline of whoever is running a group, the day and the time they're doing it. Or maybe you want to start your own group and say, hey, listen, I'm willing to do this if you guys are. Then let us know and we will set that up for you. We'll get you plugged in and you'll be able to start your own group. But either way, let's start our journey with Jesus. Jump into an Ephesians group. Now that we're back from that commercial break, wow, I'm not going to lie. That was one handsome man. I think I'm going to join an Ephesians group, if you ask me honestly. So I tell you what, thank you guys. Thank you. I felt like that was different. But so,
he had great hair.
You complete me.
I try.
So let's do this. Let's talk for a bit, man. Everybody watching right now. Man, this is an amazing man of God, first of all. He is one of the guys I go and talk to if I'm going through something tough. I just need to open up. But not just that. He is on the worship team at East Coast Christian Center. He is an amazing husband. He's like so good of a husband. I want to like block him on social media so my wife cannot compare me to him. All right? Like, it's not good. Thank you. Thank you for blocking people on social media and applauding for that. I agree with you guys. I'm getting my questions ready here because my questions are life-changing questions, all right? He's also, let me run this down. Did you know we have two men of the clergy up here? He is also Reverend Jerad Merbitz. He is ordained.
Shocker, right?
So, If you want to marry your girlfriend, just raise your hand right now. We'll do the wedding right now. He'll do it right now. Raise your hand.
That's right. We'll just knock it
Jason,
out.
Marie, get up here right now. Boom. We're not playing. We're getting married.
That's right.
We're all
We'll
getting
We'll
married.
scrub the interview and do the wedding right now.
Right. I haven't gotten to his job at NASA. Well, this is the longest intro ever. And then now, what we have you here for, he started his own fashion company, Roar, which has been absolutely amazing. It's been inspiring, and just having you here, Jerad, is a thrill to me. So,
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Let me say something real quick before you hop in those questions. It is such an honor to be here. I am such a fan of the Mezzanine, and really a fan of so many of you guys. I actually follow a ton of you on social media, and you guys are just all such incredible world changers, like you are. And whether it's something funny, which I really, every time Jason has a new story, like I can't wait, he takes the phone away and then he comes back, and the way his transitions are amazing. But whether it's funny or serious, like you guys give me life. And you guys have to understand what God has put in you to give people life. And what a lot of people don't know is, like, my first introduction to East Coast was actually the Mezzanine. So I grew up in a Lutheran church. Let me just give like a 2-second background.
yeah,
Should
no,
I do it
do
real
that,
quick?
and then I want to hear Roar's story as well. So do that, and then
Okay.
tell us Roar's
So
story.
I'll try to be quick. My wife tells me, she always goes, "Get there faster," because I tell a story and it takes forever.
What a good woman.
Sorry. Anyways, I like details, man. I share details. I'm detail-oriented in my job. We can get to that. But grew up in a Lutheran church, moved here when I was 9, saw my first shuttle launch standing on a U-Haul on my birthday. Was like on fire for the space program right then and there. But then when I was early 20s, started dating my wife, my best friend in life, or second best friend is Chris Johnson. Many of you guys know him. I was actually the second choice tonight. Chris couldn't be here, so that's why I got called. That's really the truth. But still honored to be on that same playing field. But Chris and I started going to school in 4th grade. He actually came to church with me for the first time at the Lutheran church. We were both bored to tears. But anyways, fast forward, early 20s, he's like, "Dude, you got to come to Mez." So Emily and I walked into Mez, and everybody's raising their hands, and I was like, "What? Everyone's got all these questions? Like, why is everybody raising their hands?" Honestly, it was the first opportunity I ever saw that people were just openly worshiping Jesus. And from that moment on, like, it changed my entire life, my entire perspective. So what an incredible job, Dave and Nancy, you guys do here. You guys are so blessed to have these guys leading you. And I'll stop talking now.
Well, don't, man. You just got to me and you're going to stop talking?
Okay.
Come on. No, I tell you what, I look all over social media and I see, like you said, Pastor Chris, and you have teamed up, and you've got this story you guys are telling that everywhere I turn there's a different Roar t-shirt. I actually have the sweater on now, and it says, "Give 'em heaven." And there's such a heartbeat behind it. Now, like I said, you're a reverend. You work for NASA. You serve at your church. You run this company. I a little bit feel like you're a spy. All right, like you feel like a secret agent to me.
It's possible.
All right, like
I can't confirm nor deny.
what exactly do you do for NASA? You know,
What don't
are
I?
you an astronaut?
I
Did
can't
you
tell
go up?
that.
So tell us.
I can't tell you about Space Force.
Then tell us how did Roar? How did God get that into your heart, and how did you get it into our world?
All right, the quick story for Roar, right?
Right.
Which we know will be long because I already caveated everything I'm going to say tonight.
Emily
It's going to be
version.
a longer story. Actually, outside of work and church and all that stuff, I love golf. Actually, a lifelong soccer player, soccer coach. I coach youth and high school soccer here on Merritt Island. I've been doing that for 20 years. Have won some state titles, which is a lot of fun. Yes, go Mustangs. My first year coaching, the coaches asked me to go, and I'm like, "I don't golf," and they're like, "Well, we don't either, but we like to go out and have fun." And so I went, I'm like, this is great. 20 years ago, is when the the fashion industry in golf really started to go to a new level. And I was like, I like to wear nice things. Like, I'm trying to be trendy. I got Star Wars socks on, and they match what I'm wearing. And so I was like, man, how awesome would it be to create some golf clothes, but with a Christian spin on it. And I actually I had this great idea for pants that had the crown of thorns design on them. I was like, the crown of thorns golf pants. And just taking scripture and then making clothes that were aligning with scripture. And so I went and I met with some clothing companies locally 20 years ago. Didn't really have very much, trying to finish school and all those things. And the money was the biggest thing. And God said, it's not no, it's just not now. And so I kind of I shelved the idea. And 6 years ago, we moved back to the island, started getting really involved here at East Coast. Chris encouraged me to learn a guitar. I did that. Honored to be on the worship team here. And I feel like you guys understand what I mean when I say the more you're around this community, the more inspired you are to do things for Jesus. And I'm at work one day, and I'm not going to lie, I get on social media every now and then while I'm in the office, and I'm just viewing so much negativity. It's kind of like a volatile environment, kind of like we are now. And I texted Chris, and I said, today's the day. And he's like, for what? And I'm like, today is the day that we start this company. And because I had talked to him about it, and I'm like, I see a lion. And he's like, I see the word roar. And then he threw out Proverbs 28:1, which is the wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. And I see a couple of people wearing that shirt in here. And it became our first shirt. And the whole premise behind the company was to encourage people to use their God-given voice for good. If you see something, say something. Do something kind for somebody. Be the change. Don't sit on the sidelines. Be the one that's going to raise your God-given voice for good. And I want to say about 8 months after we got started, which can't thank you guys enough. We have felt so much love from the mezzanine. And you world changers are just simply incredible. We're up here and we're getting ready for a worship set, and Chris is in the talkback mic. He goes, all right, guys, give him heaven. And I was like, I see what he did there. And being someone who's been a coach, do you know how many times, we've heard, give him hell out there, and it's like, well, it's funny. This last year, I actually tried it on my high school kids. I was like, give them heaven out there, and a couple of kids turned around and they're like, what's up with Coach Jerad? And then I actually took the opportunity because another calling I felt in my life was to start reaching out to these high school kids. And so I started doing Fellowship of Christian Athletes meetings with the soccer players. And but anyway, so that's where the give them heaven thing came from. And now I feel more than ever, it's like God put those words on Chris, to which he shared with me. And anytime I get an idea for this company, I just run with it. And I fail sometimes. I'll get a shirt, a color doesn't work, or the message doesn't work. But now more than ever, don't we need to give people heaven? So I feel like this is what's catapulting us into
I agree.
To changing a culture, which is what we need right now.
I agree. Our faith, our faith cannot stay inside these walls, and we can't live in an environment where they say, hey, keep your faith and your politics to yourself. We can keep your politics to yourself if you want, but I'm telling everybody about my faith. You want to play a game real quick? I think we should play a game.
Let's do it.
Let's play a game. Now, do you think you can do this, though? You got to play by the rules of the game. You have to answer in 1 second, okay?
Is that the window?
That is the window of time you have to think of your response.
Because I'm all about windows and countdowns.
Okay, well, your window, because he's a spy, all right? He's a spy, all right? Jerad, the spy, all right?
Instantaneous.
All right, 007.
Okay, here we go.
You ready?
Yeah.
So here's the rules of the game. I'm going to say a person. I'm going to start with your company roar.
Okay.
And then you're going to say what animal pops in your head first. You have 1 second to respond. Okay? Are you ready?
Have we started?
We're going to start in a second. When I say the name, you have 1 second to say the animal that pops up in your
So
head.
whatever you say, I need to say the first animal.
Yep. Like I would say, we'll say, trying to find somebody who I can't hurt their feelings right now. We're going across. I would say, I don't know, we'll say Tom, dolphin. Like.
Perfect.
So you can't.
Can it be the same animal?
Nope. You cannot repeat animals.
Okay.
You ready? The first one is going to be, if your company roar was an animal, what would it be?
Lion.
Jerad Merbitz, what would you be?
Tiger.
Luke Romanoff.
Monkey.
Jason Radlin.
Beaver.
David Gammon.
Giraffe.
Chris Johnson.
Dolphin.
I'm a giraffe.
Sorry, bro.
You could have went with gorilla or bear.
Brahma bull.
Or
I gotta think of something better.
Chris has to be an aardvark. I'm not going out as a
Aardvark.
giraffe, and Chris gets dolphin. Tom's dolphin. Tom is our dolphin. He is the mezzanine dolphin now, okay? Chris
you go.
cannot be it. Chris, if you're watching at home, you're an
Sorry,
aardvark.
man.
I'm sorry. We have banished you
You
to
put me on
aardvark.
the spot.
It was. What about Emily? Don't do it. Don't do it. That's his wife. I wasn't going to have him on the couch tonight.
Oh, my wife. She's probably watching. Hey, babe.
She is. Hi, Emily. We love you. You're amazing. And she's actually been on the journey every step of this with him as well.
Yes.
And I tell you what, listening to y'all's story and knowing you guys, being over your house and seeing how you guys do life, I'm always impressed how you guys are loving people in all different areas, whether it's, church friends or friends that absolutely don't know the Lord. You've stepped out there. Like a lot of us have stepped out there and put our faith out there. We've led with our faith, so now we're identified with it. So how do you talk to people about Jesus, and how do you invite people to church that don't know God? Because now that you've stepped out and you're the face of Roar and you're the CEO of Roar, there's no backing down from your faith now.
No.
So how do you guys do that?
For those who know me, I'm probably what you would call an extreme extrovert. Super outgoing. I love to talk. You can put me in, it's like there are those you can put them in a room and they see opportunity, and there are others you put in a room and they just want to die and run away because there's so many people. They're like, oh my God, I have to interact with people.
I'm one of those people.
I know. Even when it's me and Dave in the house, I'm like, dude, I've known you forever. Like, we can still talk. It's all right. Relationships are the greatest gift you can have in life. I mean, take any material thing, and I would take a relationship with a great person over that any day. And when it comes, I know, it's not cliche, but I mean it. Material things, they get old, they lose their, like a nice new pair of shoes, right? You can't wait to get them, and then you get them and you wear them, and they get old and they get dirty, and then you end up throwing them away. But great friendships just build and build. And one of the first scriptures I actually memorized, because Chris Johnson, I keep saying his full name like you guys don't know who he is.
Yes,
but
Christopher Alexander Johnson.
that he taught me is Proverbs 27:17. If I didn't screw that up, iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another.
Absolutely.
And it has been such a staple in my life. And so even in the workplace, I have taken the opportunity to build as many relationships as possible with everyone, anyone I can. And what it's actually done, it has created opportunities for me to tell people about Jesus. Because when you live a life for Jesus, just the simple acts, you don't have to walk around with a Bible in your hand. You guys have, by the way, some of the coolest trendy tattoos I've ever seen. I've actually considered getting tattoos because of the ones you have, but you don't need tattoos on your arm for people to know that you love Jesus. Where I'm going with this is I actually want to tell a quick story, if that's cool. I'll try to
go get my tattoos.
I'll try to keep it together. So about, I want to say it was like 6 years ago, normal work day. This guy stops him on my cube. Hey, Jerad, you got a minute? And I'm like, sure. And I'm like, is this like a hallway conversation, or is this like find an empty office somewhere conversation? He's like, empty office. And so we find an empty office, and he sits down, and he just breaks down. And he's like, I needed to talk with someone who knows Jesus, and I know you know Jesus. And like, this guy was really no more than an acquaintance to me. I'm gonna try to keep it together here.
You don't have to.
He proceeds to tell me that, like, he hit 2 people with his truck the night before, and they were drunk, and they just walked in the road. It was a total act of Satan. I just imagined Satan on the sidewalk just pushing them. And this guy's a believer too, and he killed them both. And so to come to me and put that on me, and he's like, I just need you to pray with me. And it's one of those moments, like, how many of you guys, by show of hands, whether it's prayer, whether it's somebody asking you to do something you feel like you're not qualified for, has anyone ever asked you guys to do something you're like, I'm not ready for this, like, I'm not prepared for this, I haven't studied, like, if I would have known, I would have, like, gone through scripture, like, so I'm sitting there, and the words just came to me, and I sat there, and I sobbed with him. It took like an hour to get the prayer out because I couldn't stop crying. I just like took on his pain. And at the end of the day, God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. So when you're living your life and God puts you in position, just accept, like, I'm here because he put me here. Just like if this is your first night tonight, I'm grateful that you're here. I mean, I am so honored just to be here, to have an opportunity to just share some things with you, but nothing's by accident. We all have choices every day, and when we just try to do our best to live like Jesus, and I'll be the first to say I fall short all the time, as a husband, as a parent, as a coworker, as a friend, but you know what? I'm going to continue trying as hard as I can, because at the end of the day, one salvation is worth anything else that I could get in life.
Come on. That's so good. That is so good.
So just to add on, let me actually answer your question. Just living life, trying to exude the love of Jesus, even in difficult situations. Like even if you're in a hurry and someone's holding you up in line at Publix, or holding you up in traffic, or something's not going your way, like, you keeping God's peace and exuding that will create those doors. People will come to you because they see something in you. They see you doing something that they haven't done, or they see something in you they don't have. And then you're like, come on, I know a place and I know people, and we would love to have you.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about church. It's like you don't have to carry the weight of knowing everything about the scriptures or about anything. You can just say, hey, how about Sunday? That's actually why we call the mezzanine and not some long church name. So it doesn't feel so religious to invite somebody here. And it's amazing because you never get to put in your calendar when God's going to interrupt your schedule with what he wants you to do. You always just have to have a heart that's ready to be obedient. And like how you're ready and you're like, you know what, I'm going to be obedient. I love how you talked about earlier. You said 20 years ago I had this picture of the thorns and of the pants, but it was a not now. And then all of a sudden there was a catalyst, and you were like, now is the time. How do you process being a coach? Often can look at it. How do you process and how do you internalize and how do you get through failure? Because as successful as you are, failure hurts. Failure can scar somebody. So how do you do that as a believer? How do you not get discouraged and shut down? How do you keep going? How do you, when you go to check your sales report or you go to invite that person to church and it fails, what does that look like for you? How do you receive and how do you process failure?
That's a great question. Do you want the short version or the long version? You know, coaching actually helped a lot prepare me in life for failure, because you're never going to win every game, no matter how hard you prepare, no matter how hard you work. But it's having the opportunity to learn, because when you fail, you don't lose. It's an opportunity to learn. And perspective is everything. That's one thing I preach to my high school kids, and I literally do. It's the one thing I try to preach to them. I'm like, you can't control a situation, but you can control your perspective. And sometimes situations are hard. A wise man once told me.
Was it me?
It wasn't, actually. Someone very close to me in life went through something very hard, and I was on the sidelines, and there was really nothing I could do about it. But the way, like, his attitude about it was joy. Like, he was choosing joy. And when I had an opportunity to finally talk to him, and I'm like, how are you so just happy in a situation that's so bad? And he goes, Jerad, this didn't happen to me, it happened for me. And I was like, just blown away in that moment. And honestly, from that moment on, it did. It changed my perspective that when I fail at anything in life, it didn't happen to me, it happened for me. Because if I fell short anywhere in my marriage, it prepared me to talk about it when Emily and I are hosting a small group months down the road. If I failed at work, it prepared me to learn from that, so maybe astronauts' lives aren't at stake down the road. If I fail as a coach, one thing that has taught me is like, yeah, it's about winning, but like you mentioned earlier about the fact that I'm a reverend.
You are a man of the cloth.
I'm a man of the cloth. That's right. I have a clergy badge. It's awesome.
Don't be flexing, bro.
I
You don't need to be
I
name
should have
dropping
brought
and
the
stuff up here.
badge.
We've all got clergy badges up in here.
But that came from a relationship. With one of my players, that when he got married, he's like, you were the first person I thought of because I know that you know Jesus, and we just wanted to have somebody there who loves us. And it ultimately led to that relationship, that wedding, who this young man's father was at the wedding, sick with cancer, who I had been trying to witness to this family for such a long time. His father came up to me and he says, I don't care where you're preaching, I'll go to the church of Jerad any day. And I was just blown away. Family called me when he was in his last hours to come over, and he actually accepted Jesus before going home.
And this is what I love. This is not like some crazy made up. This is your real life. And all it is having a heart that's obedient to say yes to God.
Obedient.
It's just saying, okay, God, am I qualified? Absolutely not. Am I afraid? Yes. Am I going to do it? Absolutely. Matter of fact, I'm going to turn my brain off because my heart said go, and I'm going because I don't want to slow myself down.
It's like I'm reminded of the day we had our first daughter, Liana, who's 12, and actually just started going to TNT.
Come on.
I'm not sure I have ever seen a child more excited to go to church in my entire life, which just makes me so happy. And it's
That's awesome.
Another tribute to all you Mezonites that you guys are sowing into those kids.
She's going to camp, too.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. But I remember pulling out of the hospital, and of course it was like strapping astronauts in the capsule, putting this baby in the car seat. Like, we had a procedure. We were calling home base, mission control. Like, are we cleared to depart? And we pulled out, and it was like silent for a second. And Emily's like, oh my God. And I was like, I almost wrecked the car. And I was like, what? And she's like, they just let us leave with this baby.
Right? Yes.
And I was like,
what hospital was it?
it was Cape Canaveral.
They did that to us
They're
at
like,
home.
they just let us leave. And I'm like, because we have to. Like, we can't just stay and get full-time nursing care for the next 18 years. Like, and so, like, in a moment of panic, right, I was like trying to reassure her, yeah, we don't know, and yeah, we're not qualified, but you know what, we are going to learn, and we're going to take every day at a time. We're going to fail. God, there were so many diaper fails. Like, it was awful, but we learned. I learned how to swaddle. I learned how to
Swaddling, what a lie.
Dude, it was like, that's a whole nother, we'll talk about
Stop
that
your
later.
baby crying.
Dude, anyways,
Only thing that stops a baby from crying is whiskey.
It works. It works.
That
I used to swaddle and do like this MC Hammer dance in the dark while holding her. I'm pretty sure it's,
that works.
yeah.
Soon to be
shaken
dads.
baby
Jason,
syndrome.
let me see the notes you're taking right now. If you're getting married, you need to be ready for this.
Yeah.
Swaddle-
By the way, yeah, marriage is the greatest thing
Yes,
ever.
it is.
Ever.
It really is. And marry your best
Like,
friend.
I would come back to talk about marriage for 3 hours. with you guys.
Yes, we should. Although I can't get out of my head that Swaddling Whiskey sounds like a bluegrass rap band. All right, it really does.
It could be.
I think, Killian, where are you at? That better hit your notes, brother. That needs to happen. We need to hear some fresh music from Swaddling Whiskey. All right. Now, I can't prove this, but I think you're white, right? I'm colorblind. That's how holy I am. So I don't see
white.
race
My
at
skin's
all.
dark. I do have some Native American in
Okay,
me,
don't try and flex.
A little bit.
All right, let's drop the egos. All right. We know you were here first. Let it go. All right. So here's my question. Thank you for being a supportive crowd. Oh, it's going to get worse. So you're white, and I'm brown. And there's a lot going on in our community right now. All right. And there's a lot of getting stirred up. And so many lives are on the line. So many perspectives on the line. So many hearts are on the line. And I think that being a father to many of the kids that I love here, my own biological kids, but also the 20-year-olds and the teens that I help pastor, be a spiritual father, like the Bible says in Corinthians. Though you have many that teach you the word, you have but one Father. And I want my kids to know the right way. And I look at this, and I didn't pull any punches when I said, so you're white. I feel, and can you speak into, I know you're very close friends with Femi Howard, very black man. So, I mean, like brothers to us. Years, decades even. I feel like some white people feel prisoner right now. That they want to speak up. And they want to say, hey, we don't believe in this. But we also feel this way too. And we don't know how to help. And we won't be able to help here, but maybe can we ask some more questions there, or help me understand, and they almost fall silent to what's going on with the racial tension in our community right now. But in their hearts, they're not silent. In their support, they're not silent. But they fall silent because they don't know the right way to speak out. And you are living that right now. So a man with a marriage and a career and a company that is on the line, that people are looking at, and you see people that you love, black people, people of color, out in the streets, marching, doing different stuff, and you see white people too. How do you go through the process, especially give them heaven? You talk, this was a voice from God. How do you know what your voice should be saying now in these moments?
It is a tough time. And I was just telling my wife the other day, like, I legit just feel weight, like probably many of you feel. There's just a weight, and you want to help. And sometimes we don't know the best way to help. And, you know, I guess the cliche Christian thing, right, is like, oh, I'm praying for you. It's like when you see somebody sick, or they had a sibling or a parent pass away, oh, I'm praying for you, right? It's the knee-jerk reaction. When we're in the dark, right, being in the dark can be a scary thing. One of the first things that brings you peace when you're in the dark, when you can't see, is light. I remember when I was young, I was camping with my family in Texas, and I had wandered like too far from the campsite at night. You know, after my dad said, you know, wander too far. Of course, I'm young, I'm going to do what I want to do. Amen. I remember a fear that I felt. I'm dark, or it's dark, I'm alone, and the first thing I see is a flashlight. And I felt like an immediate, just like relief. So the light was the first thing I saw. and then my Father's voice was the second thing I heard. And I'm just sharing that with you because we have to be the light. We have to be the light that directs people to Jesus being our common ground. Because you can't be on the left and you can't be on the right. Like, we have to build bridges from the left and the right that get us to the middle. It's hard for me because I grew up on the song, right? Red and yellow, black and white. We are precious in His sight. I love the video, and I'm sure you guys have seen it. This young black boy and this young white boy, and they are like running towards each other to just embrace one another. I'm not gonna lie, I saw this video, like, I've watched it probably 25 times. Because that's how I see people. And I want the black community to know how much we love them. And we hear them, and we want equality for them. We want equality for us. Like, I reached out to Channel Dixon. He owns Art of Homage. I'm sure some of you guys have seen Chris and I wear the worship shirts or the Yahweh. He's out of Dallas, Texas.
So another fashion designer.
He's another fashion designer. He's actually been a mentor to Chris and I. Just one of the most amazing men. He's a black man, amazing family. I reached out to him. I just wanted to see how he was doing. And he said, you know, it's been tough. He's like, I've cried with my kids. I've spoken to my kids, which brings up one quick side note. It starts in the home.
Come on.
Like, you have to talk together as a family. You have to have beliefs that people are beautiful. And that's what he said to me. He goes, black is beautiful. But so is every other color. And it brings me peace to know that we're going to be beautiful together in heaven one day. There's not going to be all this separation. Like all this racial tension. Like, because, and I just loved it. He was actually the first one that said Jesus is our common ground. And I have probably shared that statement 16 times since our conversation just a couple of days ago. And we have to be the light in the darkness now. There are people out there that are they're upset about the government and other things. My focus is making sure that I'm hearing people, I'm loving people, because at the end of the day, even the people that are hurting, like, they go home, they eat dinner just like you and me, you know, they feed their pet just like you and me, hug their kids, go to bed. Like, everybody is capable of love. Everybody is capable of good. And we have to believe the best in people, even at their worst. We have to love people at their worst. It's one thing marriage teaches you, and relationships, right?
Amen.
Because we all fall short.
Can I get an amen, Jason?
That's another thing.
Get him, Murray. Get him.
It's another thing. Relationships, whether it's a friend, a boyfriend, girlfriend, parents, whatever. Grace is another thing. Like, every day you wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new chapter. It's kind of like January 1st, right? Everyone wants, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to work out every day. By January 15th, it's I'm going to work out every third day. By February 1st, you're like, I'm going to think about it.
You are a prophet.
And then, but you know what's easy though? Like, working out your spiritual muscle is like the most fun thing you can do, and it's infectious. So when you guys are here and you're worshiping, you know, talk to somebody, ask them if they're okay, give them a compliment, encourage people, give them heaven. And that's not, and I'm not saying that, don't go buy a shirt. I'm not saying it to make you go buy a shirt. I'm saying it because I want this to be the game changer in our culture. I want people to live a life where they wake up and they're like, I'm going to give them heaven. And there's times, Jesus help me, that people are difficult. And it's hard to give them heaven. It's hard to give them heaven, but if I have a choice of whether I'm going to bring him Jesus or something else, I'm always going to choose Jesus.
Amen. Well, I tell you what, I think of that too, and what you're saying, what just come across my heart is, when Jesus, when he went to Lazarus' tomb, Lazarus was dead. It says Jesus wept. Too often we approach somebody that is in a bad place, all right? It doesn't get worse than death, all right? And had we come from a perspective that we have right now, our Jesus of our actions would have been like, Lazarus, what did you do to get in there? Lazarus, how much fried food did you eat? No wonder you had a heart attack. Lazarus, did you stand behind that mule? I told you not to. He kicked your head off, didn't he? Lazarus. Jesus didn't do that. It says when he comes up, and Jesus knew in a moment he would resurrect him. Yeah. You see, if you want to see a resurrection, you need to have a connection. All right? You need to have an emotional connection with the community, with a person, with an environment. And I'm not just saying, hey, go find a black friend or a person of color and have an emotional moment with them, because you'll probably feel fake, to be honest with you. It'll be super awkward, and they'll just want to get back to their lunch. All right? Because if you do that to me, that's what I will be thinking. And don't just run up to a cop and say, I love you, but stop and think and say, how do I genuinely, like you said, you text a friend and say, hey, how are you doing? How is it going? It's like if someone was hammering a nail in and they were holding that nail with the hammer, they hit their thumb and they yelled out. You wouldn't walk up and be like, who taught you how to hammer? You would if you were my dad, probably your dad. If you were dad, you would do that.
If you're going to be dumb, if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough.
Tough.
Right?
Amen. Next war shirt. And I think as people, that's kind of what we need now, is to know that in this season, in this small season, we need to actually hear and be compassionate to people's perspectives.
Yes.
All right? In the next season, what we need to do is find what the Holy Spirit tells us to do for action. All right? And we don't respond in the emotion. Emotion is meant for comfort and to get on the same place. Action is meant for us to form a plan.
Absolutely.
And that next season's voting season, just so you know.
I would also encourage you guys, in moments like this, don't lose heart. The saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. Things take time. There have been people that I have invited to church for a long time, and they finally said yes when they had hit rock bottom. They're going through a divorce, or they're going through something else. But it's because of my persistence. It's just like Jesus, leave the 99 for the one, right?
Come on.
We have to emulate that. So don't lose heart. If you guys are trying, you're like, God, I can't get my mom to church, or I can't get my friend to church, or don't feel like you have to convince that friend on Facebook who's the super Democrat or the super Republican, and they just have to be right, and they're throwing out all these facts. I'm like, man, you can share whatever you want, but at the end of the day, I just want to connect with people in Jesus.
Come on.
And that's not cliche, guys, because it has to start there. Bipartisanship, us making good decisions, us making change that is impactful, not just today, but will impact generations to come, because there's chains that need to be broken from decades of bad influences. So the change starts with you. You guys are the world changers. You are capable of so much, and I'm just excited to see what lies ahead for every one of you guys.
Come on. Well, I'll tell you what, give it up for Reverend, astronaut, spy, Jerad Merbitz, man of mystery, international mystery. So I tell you what, thank you so much, man, for coming up here. Just go ahead and take the microphone with you and head out that way. We're going to
Thank you, guys. I love you all.
Love you guys.
Let me just say this. If you ever need anything, if you need prayer, if you need help with a job, if you have relationship questions, reach out to me. Emily and I would be happy to help you. I would be happy to help you. even if it's with your golf swing or if you need some soccer stuff. I was going to say you for fishing, but still call me for fishing. Definitely call me for barbecue advice. He's all right. I've taught him everything
I'm building
he
a
knows.
bridge. I'm building a
getting
bridge.
there. But I mean
building
it
a
from the
bridge.
bottom of my heart. You guys are amazing. If there's anything I could ever do for you guys, please let me know. And thank you so much for having me.
Love you, man. I'm about to knock down the city of New York. Love you, man. So now we're going to do Pastor's final thoughts. As I emotionally gather myself after being publicly wounded, attacked by the media, the company Roar, I find myself, well, much like my biggest hero and much like who I remind myself of, Jesus. So I would like to share with you guys. I actually want to share this before I get into this, man. There is some great stuff. And this isn't a sell. Like, just go to watchusroar.com. There's some great stuff there. And I never use my platform to sell anything. But you know what? Like he said, let's get the word out. Let's start putting our faith on the outside. Let's be bridge builders. Let's be light shiners. Like, we were created for such a time as this, okay? Now is not the time to be silent about our faith. I'll be as bold to say this, that if you are silent about your faith, James says faith without works is dead. If you're silent about your faith, then there's a chance that you don't have the picture of Jesus, the full picture that you need to surrender to. Because once you've encountered him, there's no going back. There's no turning away. He's the same Jesus that set the captives free. He's the same Jesus that would go to the cross. The same Jesus that would beat sin and death. And you know, it's easy for us to open our Bibles and understand that he called the great heroes of our faith, Moses and Abraham, and even, you know, all the Proverbs 31 women out there, listen to me right now, the Esthers out there that were created for such a time as this, that you know he called your name. But we need to dig down. You know, just in these last final moments here, I want to just say that, you know, Reverend Jerad, we were talking about failure. The Bible talks about before David ever killed Goliath, he would fight a lion and he would fight a bear. He would fight a lion and he would fight a bear. And I think some of the fallacies that we have inside of Christianity is that he walked away from those encounters without a scar. I'm not sure he did. I'm not sure after he fought that bear to get that sheep back, that he didn't have a couple scars on his body. To say, maybe I need to get better with this sling because I just had to kill a bear with my staff and it was incredibly difficult. I'm not sure he got away from the lion without having to learn, I better fill myself up with the word of God before I go fighting a lion, because when a lion stands on its hind legs, it's 13 feet tall, bigger than Goliath. Not so sure. We got to look at our failures, and we got to look at what God has allowed us to go through and be excited about what he's calling us to. Because he will not waste 1 ounce of your faith in him. Not one. Not one tear that you have cried in the process will go in vain. That he will work it out for good for those he have called who love him according to his purpose, according to his will. You know what we do? We get turned upside down. We get turned upside down in life. We think when we encounter people that don't know Jesus and they start talking about whether they're atheists or whatever their perspective is, they might be coming out with facts and figures and numbers about science and this. We find the compassion to jump out and defend God. We need to defend who we love. We need to defend God. God is a lion. You do not need to defend him. And he is not caged. He is fierce. We're actually free to love those people because of who he is. Never shaken by another person's facts and figures, because their facts and figures will never surpass the testimony that I have with my Jesus. And same with you. So as we go forward, God has a calling for you, has a purpose for you, has a plan for you. He ain't promising you won't fail. He's just saying you ain't going to stay there. So I'll encourage you guys today, step out. We're going to do some worship now. I want you guys to press in, hear from God. You know, we're going to do some worship. Actually, we're going to take a look at an apprenticeship video. If this is what God's calling you to, please plug in, let us know. Check out this video, then we're going to jump into some worship, guys.
If you're between the ages of 18 and 24 and have had dreams of going into the ministry, we're excited to tell you that East Coast Christian Center has launched a year-long ministry apprenticeship program and is currently accepting applicants. Partnering with God to build a life-giving church that lasts, East Coast Christian Center has been impacting and reaching Brevard County, Florida, and the world for Jesus for over 30 years. Our apprenticeship program offers hands-on ministry experience in the pastoral, worship, production, children's ministry, and church administration fields. In addition to practicum in one of these areas, you will also attend our accredited school, East Coast Christian University, to pursue a degree in theology or Christian counseling, as well as go on a short-term trip to Guatemala for hands-on international mission field experience. While being trained to lead and make a difference wherever God calls you in life, you will live in provided housing with other apprentices in beautiful Merritt Island, Florida. Your Sunday nights will be spent in community and having a blast, serving at our dynamic young adult service, The Mezzanine. For more information about the East Coast Christian Center Ministry Apprenticeship Program, please visit eccc.us/apprenticeship. We look forward to hearing from you soon.
So y'all can come up and if you're in the room right now, just come down and join us for worship. Strong.
All right, let's give him some praise.
Amen. That was so good. Woo!
Super excited. Before we end here, Nancy has a word she wants to share.
I do. So the other night I was sitting just thinking, and some thoughts came in my mind about my past, and I got really embarrassed. Like, oh gosh, like, have you ever had that happen where you have a memory from your past and you're like, oh, what was I thinking? Like, why would I do that? Like, and I felt shame, like, and I was embarrassed, like, you know, but God reminded me of a verse in Romans 1. It says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel." And he reminded me very quickly in that moment, there is no shame in your past, because your past is a perfect representation of the gospel of Christ. He has set every single one of us free, and because Jesus went to the cross, we don't have to be ashamed of anything. So I just want to leave you guys with that tonight. No shame.
So good. It's no shame. Well, I'll tell you what, we just did Mez Sunday Night Live.
Yeah.
We love,
It's good.
can't wait. So we love you guys. We'll see you guys later. All right, now I celebrate.
Yay, that was the end of